My roommate kept snoring and refused to address it, so I recorded her and played it whenever she tried to rest, by user adorable calendar 19. I work and live on a cruise ship, depending on the route we dock every 2 to 4 days. Have one roommate and we have bunk beds, with me on top. I'm a performer so we get to pick our roommates and my roommate never told me that she snored, very loudly too. I tried earplugs, nope. I have big over-the-ear headphones and was playing music, still can hear her. I can even hear her over the ship docking and our room is near the anchor, it's loud. Her snoring is not only loud, it's concerning because she chokes in her sleep too. The first time I heard it, I almost fell out my bunk to rush down and check on her thinking she was having some kind of medical emergency. I talked to her to see if we could come up with a solution and she basically shot me down, because she thought since she was sleeping fine it wasn't a big deal. Also it's really hard to change roommates unless something major happens, and snoring isn't considered one of those. Despite me voicing my lack of sleep, I did my best to live with it, but I was fed up when I got done with a long work day, got up at 9 am and didn't get officially done with work till 11 pm, and had to be up at 6 am. And the snoring only allowed me 2 hours of sleep. So I decided to record her. The next day when I was going to the room for a break she was there and said she was gonna take a nap. I was like okay, and as she laid down I started playing her snoring. She immediately shot up and looked at me like I was insane. When all I did was stare at her she asked me to turn it off. I just said well this is you snoring and you said it's not a big deal, so why should I? She gets really mad, says a few choice words and leaves the room. For about 3 days whenever she tried to rest I played her own snoring back. Finally I got called in for a meeting with our manager, because roommate was mad at me. I explained my side of the story, because roommate failed to mention that she refused to address her snoring and made it seem like I was just playing loud noises for the heck of it. Roommate is angry that the manager didn't fully take her side and even told her she was being difficult by not trying to address her snoring and brushing off my need for sleep. We ended up getting moved with new roommates though. This guy spoke rudely to me on the phone while I tried picking him up for Uber, so I taught him a lesson, by user spacer in game. Back in 2018 or 2019, I was an Uber driver. One night, sometime in early winter, I had to pick up this group of 3 to 4 guys in downtown Detroit, who were maybe in their 40s. They were only about 5 minutes away from me, and honestly it wasn't even that cold outside. Or at least I didn't think so. But anyway, I got to where the GPS said they were, but as often happened, they weren't at the exact pickup spot. So I gave them a call, or maybe they called me, and I had a very brief chat with the guy who called the Uber, asking where are you, we are here, what about you, etc. The guy was totally calm and polite. But then all of a sudden, one of his friends wanted to talk to me, and got his phone from him. He had kind of a British/Indian accent, and asked me where I was. I tried reasoning with him but the guy kept talking back to me very condescendingly, saying things like listen, we are freezing out here, there is no reason for you to be taking so long, look we are standing in the middle of the sidewalk, it is so cold outside, I don't understand why you are making us wait like this. I truly did not care for his tone or the way he spoke to me. It's like he was trying to mimic politeness at first, but his disrespect escalated quickly. He barely even gave me a chance to respond. Hell, they were hardly waiting a few minutes at that point and he was already running his mouth. The dude just couldn't hide his bad attitude or inability to listen. So at some point I thought, you know what, you're just gonna have to wait in the cold even longer, motherfucker. I hung up on him, cancelled the ride and drove away, on to the next passenger. I hope you had fun freezing your ass off, prick. My ex's mom, by user handdagger420. Here's a little story for you. When I was 18, I was dating this girl. She was nice, sweet, and innocent, and I didn't know better, think homeschooled with a Christian education foundation in all of her classes and adopted. She came from a family where her dad had a construction company, and her mom was a stay-at-home wife. Well, her dad was hurt at work and ended up receiving disability for life due to his arm being caught in a garage door. Due to this, the family was set back. All of a sudden, the kids were being diagnosed left and right during their teenage years with some sort of disability, with the mother doing the talking and being friends with their PCP. It was to the point where they all had some sort of mental health issue and were put on SSI income, paid in full to my ex's mother, of course. My ex was on SSI because she was coerced into faking dyslexia, as crazy as that sounds. So, while her mother is receiving her checks as an adult, she decided to take over as all of the kids' PCA, caregiver. She would collect money at a wage of $16/hour for each child. There were 4 of them at $64/hour. My ex confirmed this by showing me a picture of the pay statement, knowing that it was wrong, all while not spending a moment of her time with them and living her own luxury lifestyle. I had been dating one daughter who had nothing wrong mentally and admitted to helping her mom manipulate the system. Trying to do something nice for her parents, I purchased them tickets for Christmas, online, to see Journey, her mom's favorite band. My ex started wanting to move in with me after a year and a half of dating. I said yes to her. She explained this to her mom, and the mom outright lost it, saying that she was financially ruining the family by leaving the family home, the PCA payments would cease. Her mom started blaming me, blaming my faith because it was a different Christian denomination from their faith, and saying that I was only interested in my ex's SSI payments, which I was interested in ending completely because I made enough, and she was very capable of working any job. Her father was threatening to physically harm me at that time. My ex was being torn in two, and I wasn't going to force her to pick me over her family. She broke up with me. I was very unhappy at that time. I was trying to move forward in life and got accepted into a nicer apartment. There was only one problem: I was about $300 short of meeting the security deposit requirement. I had a brilliant revelation. I, swiftly, logged into my Ticketmaster account. The tickets I paid for were still there and the concert was in 2 weeks. I scanned over the screen and found the sell option. You better believe that I sold those tickets and immediately got that apartment locked down. This was 7 months after giving them the tickets. 2 weeks later, my phone blows up from my ex's whole family telling me what a piece of shit I am. I sat back and looked, and a sick grin came over my face. My ex reached out saying that I made her parents so mad. They drove for 3 hours just to bed, turned away at the gate. They tried to find someone scalping or reselling concert tickets, but the show was completely sold out, and they had no luck. Moral of the story? Don't be a piece of shit to others, or you may receive the same in return. I don't regret doing that one single bit. TLDR. My ex's parents financially abused their children and ruined my relationship with their daughter. I bought them concert tickets as a Christmas gift when I was with her, had them in my name still, and resold them while they were under the impression that they still had the tickets. They drove for a total of 6 hours and couldn't attend the concert. My time is just as important as yours, by user fit_muscle_4668. My wife and I moved into a newly renovated building. The first 4 floors were there already as a sort of former slums. The building was renovated and had 3 floors added. We are in the new floors. There is a bit of tension between some of the new residents and some of the old one. Mostly it's about communal resources. The old residents are lower income and have a mentality of not wanting to spend any money at all, even though they agreed to the renovation, gained extra rooms for their apartments, an elevator, etc. One of the contingency points is over the building's front yard. They don't want to pay for a gardener even though it works out to be about $10 a month for each household. To be clear, we don't own the apartment, we rent. But I get that some people have a hard time making ends meet, and thought I would take the yard as a project. One of the neighbors, Danielle, keeps starting arguments in the building's group chat. She keeps writing crap about the old residents needing to respect the new residents more, about how much she spent on her apartment. She started complaining about the yard endlessly. She also orders food a lot, and due to a mix-up I'm always getting her orders and sending it over. Well, I am a reserve soldier. And I was called in for over a long stretch. During this time she kicked up a fuss that the yard looks bad. I apologized, explained I didn't have time to get to it on account of being drafted. She responded that her time is just as valuable as mine and she doesn't want to waste it talking about the yard. Then just don't. This led to me noping out of the group chat. Didn't feel like fighting. Said farewell and thanks for the fish and left. I'm still doing the yard, but at my own pace. Today 2 huge bags of cat food arrived at my door. Had her name on it. I put a letter on it that said, "Dear Danielle, sorry I didn't let you know about the delivery. I would have, but I value my time just as much as you value yours. Good luck. I am way too happy about this. Tried to drag me across the world to blame me for your failures? Get left high and dry, by user like Yasombudi. Drag me another country to fix your problems then try to blame me for them? Get left high and dry." This is unfolding basically in real time, but we're near the end of the story now. This story is a bit technical in nature, but I've tried to spare as many details as possible. My company does industrial software globally, which involves multiple modules interacting with physical processes. Projects often involve installation and testing locally, but my team's part is able to be deployed and tested about 90% remotely. There was one project in North America where my team's software was deployed months ago, and we've only had to deal with fairly minor bugs since then. However, the project overall is running hella late and the local team is struggling hard. So 3 weeks ago they asked me to fly out about halfway across the world to help fix it while I finish off that last 10%. I arrive and find that the other key software module in the system barely works, but the people on site who are supposed to be working on it instead of knuckling down and fixing it have basically been blaming everything else. Talking to the other team members, these guys has me spent the past month blaming the mechanical and electrical designers, fitters and technicians, often without real basis. When I arrive they seem happy that I'm here to help fix things, but about a week later, shocked to nobody, they start trying to blame me for their problems as well. I tolerate this for about a week, explaining to them how the system should work. I was a key designer, collecting logs and evidence of the problems and performing root cause analyses to help them locate the problem with their code. It doesn't stop them from trying, but it keeps my hands clean and makes progress to me going home. Then last Friday, I get a baffling email from the group of them. Apparently they had met at a time where the project manager knew I was not available and constructed an elaborate theory about how the software I was responsible for was doing the wrong thing, and convinced the PM, who is non-technical, into backing them. In a call to discuss it, I was told by the PM that I was responsible for collaborating with the team to fix this issue, which had resulted in delays to project milestones. I try to explain my side but get shouted down in the call. I experience a very powerful moment of clarity about what is happening and immediately change my strategy. That shift, I explain again that I consider the issue to be unlikely and demand to see hard evidence backing this claim. They cannot produce anything beyond the data at this breakpoint isn't what it should be, which I explain is not conclusive as it could still be the fault of their code. I then spend half the shift trying to replicate the problem and capturing network traffic logs between the two systems, the interface where these systems interact, but no matter how hard I try I cannot replicate it. Instead of delivering it just to them as I had been, I copy in my management back home all the way to the top, along with a paper trail explaining showing how I had been blindsided, demanded to fix a problem that could not be traced to my area of responsibility, all without evidence, and documented names and exactly how much time had been wasted. It turns out I'm not alone. Some privately reach out to me asking for more details, explaining that they are seeing a similar thing unfolding on a different project run by members of the same team. I happily oblige. In the middle of the shift I explain this in clear terms to them and they lose their shit, denying what they had done, backtracking, trying to blame me some more. One looked like they might start crying. The next day I send a formal letter to HR back home withdrawing my consent to be there with all the legalese referencing my employment agreement and specific legal statutes, and explaining that among other reasons this had become an unsafe and uncollaborative work environment. They agree without any fuss and I start planning to return. The PM loses their shit and almost begs me to stay because it means that I will not be present for the client sign-off, and there were still things to be fixed, and the likelihood of this local team fixing them themselves is next to zero. I leave tomorrow and testing starts the following day. Normally this would be unfathomable, but at this point I have enough evidence that I'm basically untouchable. I am both impressed and disgusted by the audacity of this team, but they fucked with the wrong person and just landed themselves an even bigger world of pain. TLDR, failing team drags me to site so they can have another person to blame for their problems. I ensured that it backfired in their face, and now they're in the shit with nobody left willing to help them.